Hey guys, Lynn Marie here, your quitting evangelist, coming to you with this week's quit of the week. Now, I'm going to tell you what it is in a minute. But first, have you ever been in a place where everything was fine, you're totally at peace, and then suddenly you have this feeling like you were just shot in the stomach, or you've got this sudden like pain in your chest, and then you stop and think like, wow, what happened between total peace and me feeling terrible? And it could be generally one of two things. Hey, Justin, often it's something bad news that you've heard. Okay, you just heard that a family member is ill, or maybe you got a bad grade on a test, or you didn't get that promotion you're looking for. Fair enough. It is totally valid to have that feeling at that point. Sometimes you get that feeling because of something someone else did. And I'm not saying that that's any less valid. However, this week's quit of the week is dealing with what I am trying to learn to do in that situation. The reason it's this week's quit of the week, as often with many other quits of the week, is because it's something I'm struggling with that has come up that week. But this week's quit of the week is quit letting others steal your joy. And this can happen because somebody potentially accidentally did something to you, or maybe they purposefully said something mean, or it could just be something that somebody else did that circumstantially hurts you negatively. Hurts you negatively, that's redundant, but circumstantially hurts you in some way. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Keep in your mind maybe a time that you were feeling fine and then somebody did something and then it just really stole your joy. Or another way to say it, stole your peace. Because before this thing happened to me, I was feeling, generally at peace. We'll get into that in a second. This is what happened. It's Monday night. I tend to put my podcast out on Tuesday. And so Monday night, I was getting the episode ready with Steph Godrow. I hope you listen to it. Her interview is incredible. I always feel weird saying that because not like I did an incredible job of interviewing her, but the stuff that she said was incredible. Anyway, I'm spending a lot of time, as I always do, on the title. Now, for those of you who listen to the podcast, you can tell me in the comments, does the title matter to you, or are you going to listen regardless? Because I have no idea, I should have asked this many months ago, how people choose episodes. But for me, I choose them. If I'm going to pick a podcast that I'm going to listen to, I have to pick it based on the title if I don't know the person. Okay, here's a person I don't know. Is the title a topic that's interesting to me or not? So I spend a lot of time coming up with titles, probably too much time, like a half hour to an hour. And then often I send it to the person like, is this on brand with your message? Is this okay? So it's Monday night and I'm spending, my typical half hour or so coming up with a title for Steph's episode. And I wanted to do justice to how good the episode is. And so I'm taking a little brain break and I'm flipping through Facebook. And I see that my friend Steph, who had been on my podcast about 2 months ago, he posted that he was on another podcast. And the podcast episode title was something that started with quitting. And I was like, oh, really? Somebody else is like using quitting in their title, which of course I perked up and I was like, let me see what they're talking about quitting wise. And then I realized, oh, they completely verbatim stole my title. It was like exactly what I had titled the episode with Steph on my show. They had like yanked it. I'm saying, I'm being nice, like completely verbatim copied it. No, they straight up stole the title. Like they didn't say, hey, can we use this title? I mean, if I hadn't seen that post, I would have never known that they had done it, but I did see the post and it felt like I was just smacked in the chest. And this is where, somebody wiser than me can come up and tell me it must take years of meditation and breath work to not have any kind of physical reaction at all when something like this happens. Like, when somebody cuts you off in traffic, how do you have no adrenaline rush, right? Like, I'm going to feel a burst of adrenaline regardless. Although I'm trying to train my body to stop feeling that burst of adrenaline when something as ridiculous as somebody stealing my podcast title happens. But it just so happened that I was in the middle of trying to come up with a title, knowing how much time I spend on this and how much effort and care I put into it. And somebody just comes up and is like, I'm not going to spend that time or money. Yank. And they just take the episode title from me. So I was pretty upset, even though maybe that's a really silly thing to be upset about. But again, I was already, in this kind of like I'm working really hard to get this title right. And there were also some audio problems with that episode. So it was just a very heavy feeling time. And it was like the last thing I needed to see on top of that was like, oh, this person is not having any heavy time. They've just stolen your stuff. Anyway, the next morning, so what I did is I found this guy on Instagram and I wrote to him. Now, not knowing that he even see it or write back because, you know, he's not following me. So he may not even see the message, but I wrote very kindly, maybe one of your staff has accidentally taken my title. I didn't blame him. Trust me, every time I have ever come to anybody in the podcast world with like my name's spelled wrong on this or whatever it is, like nearly 100% of the time they're like, oh, it's my assistant who did that. So as much as I don't love that, and that's also the reason I don't have an assistant because I do not want to have some like scapegoat to say, oh, I wasn't responsible. Anyway, I figured I would use that to my advantage and just be like, it's not you. I'm sure your assistant or your team did this. Please let them know that this is not kosher. And the guy wrote back something about like, podcast titles are not copywritten. Okay. All right. So legally I can't come after you. Glad you know that, which tells me you specifically stole the title, but whatevs. And then I wrote back, okay, whether or not it's like a legal issue, it just doesn't feel good to have your stuff stolen. And this guy writes back, I'm pretty sure nobody's trying to steal your stuff. Or nobody, like, yeah, something like that. And I was like very confused. I'm like, are you trying to diss me? Because you definitely did steal my stuff. I felt like I was being gaslighted in this conversation. Regardless, this is all happening at like 7. I am in bed at this point. This is why you do not check your phone in bed. But when I picked it up from my alarm is when he responded. So there I am trying to get ready for work. And I am a nervous wreck that this guy's going to write back something else. And because I had written back like, I mean, I'm not saying that I'm great enough that anybody would want to, but you definitely did, you know? So I said, and I literally said, I'm not trying to be unpleasant. I figured somebody on your team had done it. I just wanted to notify you that it happened. Like, hey, podcaster to podcaster, even though it wasn't what I was doing. But regardless, I never said, hey, you jerk, don't steal my stuff. You know, I was trying to be nice. Anyway, I was so rattled all morning. I'm trying to get my stuff together to go to work. And I finally get in the car and I call my sister-in-law, Meredith. And I tell her this story. And I said, I'm just too nervous to even look at my phone. Like, I mean, I'm the one who started this conversation and I'm all worried in a tizzy about what he's going to say in it. Ridiculous. But she was like, Lynn, yes, Meredith, that's what you sound like. Lynn, don't let other people steal your joy. And I was like, oh, that's such a good message. And she's so right. And so that's why I'm bringing that to you as the quit of the week, because people can be jerks on purpose or on accident or whatever it is. Or maybe they're not even jerks and they just do a thing that you interpret as jerkier than average and they didn't see anything wrong with it at all. Like that person who you think cut you off in traffic, maybe they thought there was plenty of space for them to sneak in. Who knows? Regardless, the new goal, I mean, things can steal your joy all the time. Like I said, if a family member gets sick or you get, something bad actually happens, that's a more, I don't want to say legitimate, like there's some legitimate reason for something to steal your joy and unlegitimate, but that's okay, actually that's a thing to worry about. But whether or not this guy's going to write something mean to me back on Instagram is not a legitimate thing to worry about. And what does it really matter if he stole my stuff? Yeah, I'm upset because I put a lot of work into it, but at least 2 people that responded to me about it, Steph and Josh, were like, just take it as a compliment. It's like, all right, fine, Here's the deal, all of you silver lining people, appreciate the silver lining. I still withstand my right to be upset about a thing before I see the silver lining. In fact, I went to an endocrinologist yesterday who was like, I can tell, he was an Ayurvedic endocrinologist, the dopest thing I've ever come to, but he's like, I can tell in your pulse that you're this kind of person, and a lot of your health problems come from you not expressing your emotions. Oh, okay. Well, so I do get to be like, that sucks that somebody stole my title. What a jerk thing to do, before being like, the silver lining is it must have been a great title. P.S. It was. Spent lots of time on it. I had made sure that Steph liked it. Like all of those things that I do before releasing it. So anyway, in your life, think about the times that somebody is the one who steals your joy. Is it your boss? Is it the person you're in a relationship with? Is it some mean troll on the interwebs? And then do what I am trying to do, which is quit letting them steal your joy or your peace or your tranquility for the day or your happiness, whatever you were feeling before that person ran into you, do not let them take that away. Okay, that's all I've got for this week. Let me know, do you have any tips for keeping somebody from stealing your joy? Any tips for not having an adrenaline rush when somebody initially steals your joy? I'm all ears. But anyway, I hope that you all take a listen. Even if you didn't listen to this, maybe fast forward the end and heard this part, listen to Steph's episode, because regardless, we got all the audio problems fixed. I got a title for it. But the point is, that episode is killer. I've gotten such great feedback because she gives so many concrete tips to how to overcome fears, how to take a year off and like kind of do a trial quit. So much good stuff. All right. So until next time, my friends, happy quitting.